special event alert.
I was late because my wife was doing the taxes on our computer.
Which is excuse number 78 for being late for Changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm your host, Marty Smith, and I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
Always on time.
And our little mule is back, Juanito
How many keys?
Lopez.
How many keys do I have to bring?
Oh, yeah, you got to bring donuts.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
I was late too, Eric. I'm sorry.
Because you were getting a massage with your underwear on.
Oh.
Yeah, fully clothed.
And our puzzle princess, Anna Mondragon.
I'm always late. I'll be late to my funeral.
Anna's here.
Nice.
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the lower branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
Right on. It's the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, sorry.
The price is right.
Imagine how we would have been doing that for 2 years. People would be like, hey, that's that group that chants together. I'd be like, yes, that's true. So, well, the weather's pretty frightful outside. So,
Yeah,
and I
I'll tell
already
you what.
lost power. I'm hot spotting it through my phone because my brilliant Xfinity modem will take a day and a half to reset itself. God, I hate Xfinity. You know, I would change out of Xfinity, but I've had that Xfinity email for 20 plus years. I don't even know where my email is now to change it. You know what I mean?
Well, they provide my cell phone service too, so which is
Well, yeah, that's why. I mean, I
Keep
wish
that.
I could just go down to something, but you can't. You got to bundle everything with Xfinity. It's a pain in the ass. So,
You still have your AOL?
oh my
Yeah.
God.
I would change
No.
services, but I still have my email from 20 years ago.
AOL.
It's called Gmail, Marty. It's called Gmail.
yeah, and you're getting hacked by the Chinese, Juanito. So that's why you're getting all the
AOL.
We've
T-boot
been hacked.
emails.
We've been hacked by everyone. I get a
that's
text
true.
message. Hey, your toll charges are late. Please click on this from
I
a
know.
44 something number. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they are.
OPM gave them all our stuff anyway. We're good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
All
right.
of our
I know.
clearance stuff got
I
handed
don't know
over.
why they're worried about Doge because they've breached the VA long ago. Man.
Oh, yeah.
They got all those numbers right.
Yep. Long
Um,
time ago.
So how's the week going? How's the week going for everyone? Good.
Good.
Good, man. Till today's snowy
Nice.
weather.
Well,
It was
yeah,
a beautiful
that's-
day,
that's pretty
and then
sunny.
it
Yeah.
went.
But at least you're not working a Shriver with that walk. Imagine those
Oh,
midship
very good
guys
point.
going in tonight for that,
That wind
walk.
blowing
That's
Oh,
snow.
that'll be
Sucks.
brutal.
Right. That's got to be lousy.
Yeah.
So, should we get to the news? Big space day today.
Ooh.
I like
Big
it.
Yeah.
space day today, right? First story from space.com. Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for them, Butch and Sonny are back home.
Even the dolphins are excited to see them.
Did you see that? That was
Welcome
really,
home,
really
Butch and
cool,
Sonny.
man.
Yeah.
Good for
The first astronauts to fly on board two different commercial spacecraft during a single mission have returned to Earth, splashing down with two of their International Space Station crewmates. Sunita Sonny Williams and Barry Butch Wilmore did not set out to make history other than being the first crew to launch on Boeing's CST-100 Starliner capsule. Probably the death of Boeing space. But,
Failure.
you know, actually, as much as we've been dogging Boeing out for that Starliner, they're still flying that space plane, the super secret space plane. So, they're
Well,
still
as
in
far
bed
as
with
you
that,
know,
right?
as far as you
Ah,
know,
yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a
who
good
knows
point.
what they're flying?
After their capsule encountered propulsion issues, though, and NASA, out of an abundance of caution, decided to land it without them on board, Williams and Wilmore were reassigned to SpaceX's Crew Dragon to complete what ultimately extended from a 12-day to a 9.5-month mission. Landing with Williams and Wilmore today were fellow NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Alexander Gorbanov, a cosmonaut with Russia's federal corporation Roscosmos. Hague and Gorbanov launched on SpaceX's Crew Dragon Freedom without two of their plane Crew9 crewmates in September. That was September. They went up there in September, man.
I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was like June.
No. The crew
the
that
other
went
guys.
too short, right?
Yeah.
They went up there in September.
Yeah.
The 4 Crew9 members splashed down safely at 5:57 p.m. Eastern time off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida, in the Gulf of America. Now, listen to this. From there, the 4. Yeah, you see, I slipped that in there. From there, the 4 will be flown by Gulfstream jet to Ellington Field in Houston. Per standard protocols, Hague, Gorbanov, Wilmore, and Williams will remain in crew quarters at NASA's Johnson Space Center for several days before they are approved by flight surgeons to return to their homes. So there was all that. There was a story a while ago about Sonny's health. I don't know how that came up, but even if they were expected to be up there that long, there's some bone density stuff, right? There's all that stuff. So I guess I want to see if they can walk in gravity.
Well, I'm sure once you get off a cruise line, you're sick your dog, right? Well, I'm sure the same thing applies. You got to get your legs underneath you, man.
Check them out for
I never thought of that.
a Velcro fetish that developed somehow up there. You know, they're like,
Amen.
and they're like,
or that's how you got to go to sleep, like ambient white noise or Velcro ripping.
somebody's got to stand there. And
Oh,
you want to see the reentry?
Show me.
Here's the reentry.
A live view of Crew9, just minutes away from splashing down off the
look like
coast
steam
of
buns.
Tallahassee.
They do. They
Florida,
look like,
splashdown 2 minutes from
cow
now,
buns.
2:57 p.m. Pacific. We do
Yummy.
have 4 healthy mains really doing the job there. Just breathtaking views of a
This
calm,
almost looks
glass-like
fake,
ocean off the
doesn't
coast
it?
of Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah,
Look
it
at
does.
the
Crew9 just
ocean is
minutes away from
perfectly
splashing
still.
down.
This
Look
is
at
really
this
such
camera
an incredible
angle.
shot. That
Copy,
was
600.
that was a live view from our recovery vessel, Megan, which is stationed.
All right, I'm going to pause this for a second. Jake, if you knew you were coming back in and you had a camera on you the entire time,
Yeah.
could you resist doing something
Oh,
outrageous?
no. Me? No. Jeez.
Would you like be
I'd-
touching the other guy? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
"Fucking stop it.
I'd pretend to be like, I'd smudge up their glass somehow.
I love
Yeah, I
this
was just
spacesuit
thinking that-
thing, man. The rubbers.
This,
It's like they walked off the
Yeah.
farm and got on the spaceship with those boots.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
it looks
That's
so drastically different from the shuttle days, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Oh,
shuttle
yeah.
days where there
Right.
was stuff all around, and then
Sure.
this is just so sanitized.
I
No
they don't
buttons
have-
to push,
they're
It
nothing.
actually
they're
looks
not
like a
working
picture of
any
a roller coaster
controls.
ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Right.
Yeah.
There's,
Where do you roll down the
Six
window?
Flags.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple miles away from the splashdown site.
I would hate that because
can see
you
the crew
can't.
there using
you can't
their
adjust
yourself,
you gotta-
restraints as resting
You're just
places
like,
for their arms. They were just in space moments ago.
Dude, I would literally
So their
have my
arms were able
hand
to
on
float
the other
freely.
person's knee. Just
400 meters.
it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
I will hold somebody else's hand.
This is a
That's all I would
gorgeous
do.
It's all right,
bluebird
Butch.
day here that we have for
You're gonna be
splashdown
fine.
of Crew9.
Okay, big boy. You got this.
It's incredible to think that
They'd be like,
She
cut
still
away,
loves you.
cut away, cut.
She
minutes
still
ago,
back to the
was
ocean.
going
No matter what
over
she said.
17,000 miles per hour.
But I
and
was.
now
I mean, how
gently
as cool as this
coasting to a
is,
soft splashdown.
obviously that's some kind of drone they got out there just perfectly.
Copy, 200 meters. Brace for splash.
Well, they have to have some
Look at that.
recovery vessels.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing footage, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't
As you
it
can
look
see
like
there
it's
on
taking
your screen,
forever?
continuing to monitor progress.
It does.
of the
Yeah, and
Dragon
I was gonna
spacecraft,
edit this
and
video,
we're going
but
to stand by for
I didn't
splashdown.
want to.
It does look
located
fake
in
to
the
me
Gulf of
too.
America,
It didn't.
off the
Yeah, I
coast
didn't want
of
to.
Tallahassee, Florida.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Booyah.
But it looks like a video game. It just doesn't look real almost. It's
And
so
splashdown. Crew
clear.
9 back on Earth.
It does
Cue the
look
applause.
fake.
But look at this drone. Now, here's the other thing that blew me away. They're coming for
Why is that water so smooth?
that was surprising to me too. I was like, this guy's catching rockets, but we're still splashing down the capsule. But I guess you got no power, you can't maneuver, or whatever it is. But wherever this was going to fall, they knew because this drone was there taking pictures.
I'm sure they
that's
have
amazing.
the vicinity, though, isn't it? Right?
Well,
Have an idea of where
but
it's coming, I'm assuming.
well, yeah, but it's still free falling in. I think that's pretty amazing. That's
Yeah.
pretty badass, right?
And SpaceX Freedom splashdown.
But look, even the parachutes, the way they're landing, is this all choreographed?
It's perfect. And look at that. In the background, there's a recovery ship coming.
SpaceX,
Yeah.
welcome home.
I was watching it for a while. I thought they were going to be on like jet skis, just like terrassing in there, spraying them with rooster tails and shit. They're like, hey, welcome home.
What, like Nitro Circus jumping, bunny hopping over him?
That would have been badass. But here's the video that Anna was talking about. This is
harnessing
really
being placed around the capsule. This harnessing is what will
Got
be
dolphins
used
out
to
there.
lift the
You're like,
Dragon
what
capsule out
is
of the
this?
water and onto the recovery
What is
vessel.
I know.
Wow, we
It
got
almost
a
seems
cute little pod
staged.
of dolphins. It wasn't just one or two.
Oh, that's damn cool.
I mean, that water
Yeah.
just looks beautiful. We had ideal splashdown parameters today. Obviously, wave height, ne'er a concern. The weather is
Ne'er
beautiful,
a
as Jaden
concern.
mentioned, in the 60s, sunny.
Meanwhile,
Looking forward to
Tesla's
seeing Crew
car
9 exit the
dealership is
capsule
down
here
5 more
shortly once they
percent.
get
He's going
hoisted
bankrupt.
onto the recovery vessel, Megan.
We can see
Thought
that
Nair
recovery
was just for
vessel
controlling
slowly
my
but surely
bush size.
closing the distance there between.
Yeah, it looks
Oh,
so
dolphin
fake.
came
Is that
back again.
dolphins? Oh man.
Yeah.
We can
How more
see,
perfect does
that
it get?
the
There's
Dragon
dolphins,
capsule
there's-
I think he
and
landed
the
in
recovery
SeaWorld,
vessel. That
man.
distance is closing. Again, this is just one more step as we continue to work recovery operations for
I don't know.
Dragon
It almost
Freedom,
feels like they brought those
and
dolphins
we
in.
anticipate
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Elon,
Right,
Elon's
that's
like,
what I
I need a
mean.
pod of
capsule to occur here in just a few minutes.
Maybe they're robot dolphins.
Yeah,
How cool would that be?
a robot dolphin.
I don't know. It seems like it's almost like the James Cameron
With laser
direct
eyes.
the ending.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
really, really cool and really clear. And I'm just amazed that they had that recovery ship in the vicinity and the drone just was waiting for him right where they hit. That blows me away.
Where did they, like, what body of water did they?
Gulf of America, Anna.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry,
You do know where that's at, right?
I didn't realize that the water is so clear in Gulf of America.
It's
yeah.
off,
Miraculously cleared up like
Tallahassee.
3 months ago with the
Oh,
name
wow.
change.
Tallahassee. Where's Tallahassee at exactly in
Are you
Florida?
serious?
Eric?
More? It's
Panhandle.
towards the Panhandle.
Oh, okay. All right. God
Yeah, it's
dang.
further
That's
up north.
perfect, man. That is absolutely perfect where they got. So they made it
Probably all
back.
the runoff from the Chicago St. Patty's Day dying. Just all that green river from Chicago flows down.
Oh, that's gonna
Right
be
there.
nasty. Yeah, that's probably the cleanest that river is when they add the dye to it, So I thought it was pretty cool. So welcome back, Crew 9 and Butch and Sunny in particular. So,
Woo!
all right, riveting. Okay, from spacenews.com, this next story. Hey, good news for the Space National Guard. Maybe.
Yay!
It
Maybe.
exists.
Maybe next
Yay.
It
maybe
doesn't
next year.
exist.
Maybe next year. The Space National Guard debate reignited with bipartisan legislation. I thought this was interesting. What do you hear the senators and congressmen involved with it? A bipartisan push to establish a Space National Guard has resurfaced on Capitol Hill challenging a compromise reached just months ago on how to structure the reserve component of America's newest military branch. I swear to God, I still don't think they've really figured it out. But Senators Mike Crapo, a Republican from Idaho, John Hickenlooper, Democrat from Colorado, introduced the Space Guard Establishment Act last week, seeking to create the Space National Guard as the official reserve component of the Space Force. On the House side, Representatives Jason Crow, Democrat from Colorado, and Lauren Boebert, a Republican from Colorado, introduced identical companion legislation. So 3 from Colorado alone.
Well, sounds like another business that Doge will be getting rid of. Just shut it down.
All right, you anti-guard, anti-reserve, anti-space guy.
But it makes sense that they have an argument for Space Guard, and the only reason I say that is because the part-time thing is just that's what it's called. I'm taking a break from the Space Force. You're not discharged. You don't get a DD-214. You're just on a break, right? And it doesn't take an act. Yeah. It doesn't take a presidential act to reactivate you. That active duty commander owns you. So, like, to have a Space National Guard, if you don't have a true reserve component, they can make an argument. That's all I'm saying for it. And, like, when I think about the representatives of Colorado, Boebert's up north, so you have the Greeley National Guard or the National Guard, the 137th over there, which is a space.
Yeah.
And then the other ones with, Buckley and Schriever and Peterson, those are your other representatives.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm surprised Alaska wasn't involved because I know those National Guard guys over there. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, who are the well, they got all the missile, the GMD, right? The GMD defense up there. They
have that, and they have the 213th missile. Or
they got
space,
clear.
Right. Yeah. Well, the effort comes just months after Congress approved the Space Force Personnel Management Act, which eliminated the traditional distinction between active duty reserve and guard units. The law, passed as part of the fiscal year 2025 NDAA, allows full and part-time service members to operate within a single system, providing an alternative to establishing a separate National Guard component. Now, that all sounds great on the surface, but Anna, how do they get paid? How do they come on and off active duty? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I thought when they go on to active duty, the state uses their funds to bring them on to active duty.
Are you talking about Title 32 and Title 10?
Yeah.
Funds?
Yeah. So. How's that? I mean, I don't think they've ever figured it out, to be honest with you.
So when I was at Clear, I know when they would log in to the system, they were considered Title 10. Now, how the budget and whatever, but when they're away from the system, they were considered Alaska National Guardsmen. But anytime they were hands-on console, they were Title 10 all of a sudden.
Well, it makes sense that because there'll be a state resource, it makes sense that the state would be responsible for paying them when they're active.
Yeah. But I think that's all done. It's some phantom, you're not on orders federally, so you're just part-time now. So I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
Are you talking about part-time versus full-time, like under the one component? Or are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about this act that passed, which allows full and part-time service members to operate within a single system. What does that mean? They've never explained that.
Reg space, like Reg Av. So like first of all, you have to do your first enlistment. And after you do your first enlistment, if you want to go part-time or first commitment or commission or whatever, if you want to go part-time, instead of getting out, your status changes to part-time, meaning for the next year, I'm still in the military, but I'm not activated to go into the military. So when I decide to come back, there's no paperwork, there's no re-enlistment, there's nothing. I come back. And there's no DD-214, no discharge, none of that. So they're doing this to prevent, I guess, more work or less work. I don't know. So
they haven't done it because nobody can figure it out.
Well, I mean, I don't think talk to any of the reservists that were they're either getting out or going active duty.
Well, yeah,
And
but this
yeah.
is aside from the reserve. This is saying the Space Force.
That's
will
what I'm
have
saying.
some
There's no
people on-
reserves. Yeah.
Yes,
My,
but
my-
nobody knows how
You're
that's
on the
going to
practice
work.
squad. That's all part-time means. You are part of the practice squad, and you will get activated. So if you use an NFL analogy, you are on that practice squad, and guess what? If we need you, you're part of our farm team for baseball. We'll activate. Yeah.
What if who activates them then?
That active
If they're
duty commander.
active duty, exactly.
so
they're
they're
not
federal
owned by the
dollars.
state, so then they can
Yeah,
actually
right.
be federally recalled back to their
Yes.
unit
The state has
at the
nothing to
whims
do with it.
of
Right? No,
the federal government.
Yeah, yeah.
But what, okay, so can I ask my question? I'm really confused.
Heck
Because
yeah.
how do they have any like clearly defined state requirements in
They don't,
in the
not right
Space
now.
Force?
They
They
don't.
don't.
No, get
It
rid of the
doesn't
state
exist. It's
stuff.
being
What-
proposed.
What guardsmen are supposed to be there for, right? Is to protect the state. I
That's
thought.
right.
Well, right,
my-
and that's yeah.
My thought process is
There's a
how do they
disconnect.
defend doing that, like with
Well,
the space capability.
And to
Yeah.
be honest,
There is no state
you're
confined.
absolutely right.
Same with
And-
137th, right? Their missile warning
Right.
backup. There's no state relevance to
Yeah, they don't. You're exactly
But
right.
missile
I don't
warning
know how
backup.
they have a
Yeah.
bone in the fight or a dog in the fight or whatever.
I don't know
Yeah,
either.
like to me, it always made sense for the states that had the ground radars. So like Alaska to me made sense, right? Because like they're looking up north to see if anything's coming in.
Okay.
You can make an argument for that, and I think you can make an argument for any of the ground radars, although those are active duty units. You could talk about Beale, you could talk about Massachusetts, but they say, hey, we're looking for missiles coming to our state. If they had a sister, no, hear me out. I'm saying the argument, the way they could justify it. I'm not saying that's right, but they wanted to establish it.
I hear you're trying to fight that fight, but I'm with them. Space, unlike an infantry National Guard, all right? Yes, they're infantry, but they can be called to defend the state.
If there's a
Artillery,
zombie apocalypse.
right?
So,
Even
so to fight that
F-16,
state
the
level,
the 140th, right? They're F-16s, National Guard F-16s, so they are the governor's asset. Space does a federal mission, does a national or international.
I agree
mission.
with you. I'm just saying the argument that they would make. That's all I'm saying.
I'd love somebody
So,
to
yeah,
it's like,
for that
Wouldn't
argument to be
care.
relevant, though, the state guard representatives would have to have the ability to warn the state.
just the state.
Would they have just the state? Would they have the ability? That ops floor have the ability to be like, oh, let's warn the state. Missiles.
La
are coming.
Hunta. We have a
And
missile
like I said,
coming
the best
Alaska.
example I could use was Alaska because I worked with the National Guard
Yeah.
there, and you were there. You were also in Fairbanks, and they had that National Guard units over there with the fighters and everything else. But I'm saying for that big state, I can make an argument about, hey, missiles are coming this way, and you are going to activate all the assets that we have here in Alaska just to protect it, right? But I was trying to make the same arguments for the coastal states because that's going to be
Yeah.
the first.
I just think the space mission is a federal mission. I mean, it's
But it depends what
national
part
mission.
of the space mission. That's what I was saying.
All
You're
of
doing
space.
ground-based missile warning to me, and then you're activating any missile defense because then you can put a missile defense units and put them as guard.
All right, who's going to target Alaska? You got 5 ICBMs worth $5 billion. Are you going to throw one at Alaska?
But if it's going to come through their backyard,
You're not going to shoot Alaska.
But if it's going to come through their backyard, they can intercept.
But if you were a state guy, you'd be like, I'm not shooting one of my missiles. That's not going
Okay,
to land on
let's
Alaska.
put it this way: you have a farm.
Those other
Hey,
states.
you're
should
in your
have
farm
their
and you
own
have all this
ground.
land, right? But I'm gonna fly my drone over your farm. But why would you shoot it down if I don't care about your farm? I'm just going over your farm, but it's still
Right.
going over your territory, so you can shoot me down, right?
I don't
That's
think you're
all
allowed to
that-
shoot down drones.
I'm just saying, right?
I'm missing the relevancy.
The relevance is if a
Yeah,
missil's
I
going
think you're
over my
pushing. I can
backyard
understand what you're
in the
trying to
state.
do.
I respect you for
Acknowledge
choosing
the
Hey,
whole
I got-
side.
one
gotta play devil's
bullshit
advocate.
unit, one bullshit guard unit out of fucking 8 ground-based radar sites. And you're trying to push this on all the rest of the Space Force
Hey,
and
I'm
Air
just saying.
Force?
I'm just saying.
Get
I'm gonna
outta
make the
here, man.
argument.
The only reason it's a guard unit is because nobody active duty wants to man that shit.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like, fuck, I
Well,
ain't
now
doing
they
this
don't
shit.
have a
Get outta
choice
here.
now. Hey,
Um,
I tried. Leave me alone.
It was worth a shot.
Good job. Two
Okay.
stars, not just one.
Jason Crow, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, emphasized that the legislation would require this new legislation for the Space Guard would require no additional personnel units or facilities. True. It's all right there. All you got to do is just bring them back, start paying them again. While allowing space specialists to continue supporting Space Force missions. The push for a national Space National Guard now faces a complex legislative path, given that the Space Force Personnel Management Act was already signed into law for 2025. This new proposal will likely need to be reintroduced in the fiscal year 2026 NDAA. So, Space Guard, don't hold your breath. They might get it next year. So,
Interesting.
I think
understand
the real
that.
big thing is they make such a big deal about the Guard, and one of the reasons was because I think when this was first proposed, they were going to take Guard units away from the governor. All right, from the states. Didn't a bunch of governors sign a petition to say,
Yeah.
don't do this. This is my asset, not your asset. But I don't understand why they couldn't continue the space reserves for that very same reason. Then you didn't have to go into this crazy, unthought through, complicated. You're part time. You're full time. You want to be full time? Okay, then you'll be a part time. It doesn't make any sense how that was supposed to work. The reserves seemed to work pretty damn well, you know.
A little more
Especially in Colorado when you had sister squadrons all over the place.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny, Marty? During the gala, and Anna, you there? You could tell, like with General Burke there, the speakers there. It seemed like they were speaking straight to the Space Force and saying, "Good luck on your part-time stuff."
Right.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going back to 1992, where you guys couldn't figure it out. The reserves figured it out for you guys. So you guys go through this ass pain again, and we'll be waiting to create basically a Space Force reserve. That's what happened.
Yeah, it's a really dumb concept, I think. But I also think that since they introduced it, their egos were too big. Like they went behind the doors and they're like, "Oh, we really screwed this up." Well, don't admit it. Just keep driving forward.
Are we really doing
You
this
hold
shit?
the line.
Yeah.
They're gonna break.
Yeah, don't admit that we screwed this up because we'll just look for an opportunity to reintroduce it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And somebody will get a star for it. Don't worry about it, Marty.
Right.
Oh.
All right, moving on from now. I wanted to get your reaction to this because when I first read it, I like maybe we're going too far. So I wonder what your thoughts are on this story from Stripes.com. So Arlington National Cemetery scrubs race and
I don't
gender
get that part. I
from
don't
the
understand that.
cemetery's website. I didn't even get through the title.
You couldn't get through the title at all.
I know. I
don't
read
get it, Marty.
that,
Nope.
and
I don't get it.
really don't understand why they did that. I don't.
Well,
I'm so sorry. Like, I really got upset about this one. I
It's
think
gonna be hard to identify that one
I
Jimmy
was like,
Smith.
this makes no sense.
Well,
what are we doing? Okay, sorry.
all right. The way I first read it, I was like, are they like scratching names off graves or something? I was like, oh, it's from the website. Okay. All right. So
all
we
the
got
other
that
websites.
piece. The Arlington National Cemetery has purged, they use the word
Still don't like
purged,
Ooh, ugly
its
word.
website of material focused on Black, Hispanic, and female troops buried there. Not in the website, but in the cemetery. The purge was a response to Donald Trump's executive order to remove materials related to DEI from government websites. Arlington officials said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth later issued an order to remove materials highlighting race and gender as part of a Pentagon, quote, digital content refresh, end quote. The changes to the website were first brought to light this week in, quote, Civil War Memory, a newsletter published on the Substack social media site by historian Kevin Levin. That's Kevin Levin.
Kevin Levin.
Among some of the changes were modules dealing with the Civil War, African American history, and women's history. Before January, the website included lists of prominent Black people and famous women buried in Arlington. While the individual graves still turn up on website searches, lists grouping the dead by race or gender do not. The web page citing, quote, notable graves had subsections, including one for African Americans. The link to the list has been taken down.
So how do dead people have anything to do with DEI?
Well,
they're dead.
Who
cares if it was a female, a male, a Mexican,
I
a
think-
black person, whatever?
All right.
But like from what Barney is saying though, if I'm searching and I know that my aunt was Black, female, and stuff like that, it makes it easier to search. But
That's
when they
what I
put out
mean.
this
I'm
whole
all good.
and the fact that they put out that, I feel like they went on like they have like a ChatGPT or AI. It's like anything with race, gender, or whatever, erase it across the board because that happened to that Black general with the Medal of Honor from Vietnam. His page was taken out because it identified the page as a Black male and it fit that description of DEI that they wanted out.
See,
And
I
I'm
think we're
guessing that this is the
getting
same thing
away
that
from
happened
the
with this
true
website.
purpose of what the diversity, inclusion, and all that crap was. Dead people don't care who they're laying next to. They don't care.
Well, and that's
Nor do I.
true. But what they're saying is that they're just all Americans.
Agreed. But does it hurt
Right.
anything to tell me that this was a woman, that was a Black man? They're dead. I don't care.
No. But if you're searching,
Right? Does it matter if I search for a Black guy?
well, but why don't you just search for the guy?
Well, if I can by his name, what if I get Jake
Are you
Smith?
just randomly searching? How many Blacks are in here? Let me see.
No, man. I'm saying how many Smiths are there? How many Tom Smiths are there? There's got to be a million of them.
Where's all the Asians buried at?
83% are in the Navy. I freaking knew it.
I'm just saying, I don't think that changing Arlington's procedures because of DE or DIE or whatever DEI, diversity, inclusion, and whatever, has anything to do with what the true meaning of it is on the outside.
Well, and
No, I
think-
agree
and
with
I-
you. I agree.
And I
with
think
you.
it's, I'll be honest with you, I think this whole DEI thing's taken way out of like proportion. It's like it's exaggerated. I mean, the whole purpose of it is just to get minorities, women, and what's under DEI though, it's also veterans, disabled people, stuff like that. DEI encompasses a lot of people, but it's to actually give you a seat at the table. You still have to be qualified. You have to be certified. But
Do
you're
you?
right. We're not even talking about that in this case.
I
We're
think
talking
the whole
about
point,
what's happening
the whole bad thing of DEI is that your certification is your skin color,
But
not
in a
your
lot of
qualification.
In a lot of cases, yes. If a woman with less qualifications than I have, they would take the woman because they needed a woman instead of me, even though my qualifications were a little better.
Right.
But like
That's
thing where it's taken out of proportion though, like I would say the air traffic controllers. I have a hard time believing that there was numbers set for that because when I was in the military, for them to be certified, you know how many air traffic controllers I saw washed out? Didn't matter what color they were. So like for them to start saying that, federally, they still have to get certified. They still have to be regardless of color.
You got to be careful about saying we were all in the military because we were all in the military with differing standards that they presented as all the same.
true.
Like in which way?
But that's my whole point. In my
PT.
argument. Dead people.
Straight up,
people.
PT, man. That's the most glaring, right?
Nobody cares. Dead people. Black,
Is your
green, yellow.
is your
dead
three
people.
is your max PT the same as Anna's max PT?
But you could say that for age discrimination too, though. It's just not based
No,
off
I'm
male and
just
female.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, there's you can say the same thing for about age within the same sex.
well, yeah, but at least all the categories were Jesus.
I'm just saying, am I right?
No, you're not right.
Okay.
Because yes, there was an age group. All right, got it. But it was a male age group. That age group wasn't the same as the female age group.
Okay, let's get back on target. How does saying that, oh, look, my website, I can't find a black guy named Tom Jones because he's black.
No.
You got to look
can
at him for his
find
name.
a guy named Tom Jones.
That's what I just said.
Like you
What's
can't
it
get
matter?
Period.
The dead guy doesn't matter if he's being called Black Tom Jones. I don't see how it applies to.
I think the point of what they're trying to do is just say they're all Americans. Let's wipe the race, gender. They all served honorably, and we're all American. You know, it's.
I hear you.
It's Martin Luther King's dream, right?
I hear you. I'm tracking on that part.
Yeah.
So how is that not? Why is affecting the cemetery going to make it better by calling them all Americans? I don't see that. They're all dead people. They don't care.
Impact? What's the impact of that?
Why waste money changing your website for dead people?
Yeah.
Yes, makes no sense when we're trying to save money.
Right. Let's go elsewhere where there's people that are alive who you can make an impact on.
Makes
This
sense.
organization, we're all human beings. We're all Americans. We aren't determined by the color of our skin. The people in the graves don't care.
And you're also making
It's
it
not
obvious. You're obviously making it very obvious that we do have a problem with gender or race because, like, now we're taking the effort to remove it because we're making it a thing. So
I
just
agree.
let it just be. Oh,
I agree. That seems
Just
like an overreach
too
on a
much.
website instead of going, hey, let me see the prominent blacks, right? I mean, because that's what they scrubbed. That's what they scrubbed off the website. They're like, okay, we're not gonna single out groups because of their race. So if you want to search for somebody, you can still search for somebody, but we're not going to have a section of here are the black heroes.
So
here are the Asian heroes. You know?
Who is impacted by not being able to search by the black prominent people?
I don't know. I think I'm not defending it. Well, maybe I am defending it a little bit because I think I'm trying to go to the ideal of we shouldn't worry about who the prominent blacks are. Let me search for Medal of Honor winners. Okay, I can still do that, and all of them will come up. But if I go, let me search for the half black, half Asian ones who weren't Medal of Honor winners, but let me have a page on them. I don't know.
Here's the thing.
Here's my. Oh,
Man, you're
sorry.
messing
You just
Raiders
basically
football
removed the Tuskegee Airmen from a search profile,
Well, true. Yeah, I agree.
And
right?
that's what I was
Unless
gonna
you
say.
know them by name,
Right.
which do you guys know any of their names?
No.
So you
I
can't
don't.
look them up by
No.
name, but then you could or couldn't look them up by the first Black Squadron.
Well, good point. Yeah, sure.
And not
Right?
only that, but I would like to see how history has changed and how we have been more inclusive. As you can say,
I just
this,
don't like watching history get it. Like
Yeah.
it just seems like we're doing the exact same thing as tearing down statues in the South.
Yeah, right.
We're doing the exact
Right.
same thing. We got pissed. Like the one side got
It's
pissed
like
at.
the pendulum
And
was
now all
over
of a
here,
sudden,
and now it's
We're
gone
removing all these
Right.
people's heroes,
Right.
and now all of a sudden, you're like, why are we just
Yeah.
erasing or removing history consistently?
it's it's like I feel like with cancel culture that it started happening. Like you said, one group gets pissed off. There's an overreaction from like that group to depending on what's
Right.
going on. And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, like who cares? It doesn't bother me if you thought Civil War people were your heroes. Cool, that's you. And there's like whatever. Just fuck. Like this whole canceling thing's getting way out of hand.
Well,
And
it's just in a different
we're
way.
in a
Whoa,
way.
whoa. Jake had enough. I
Jake
guess.
said, "I'm done
He's
with
in
you
stream with
people."
audio.
No, sorry.
I feel like it's a way of like
Pick my
Jake's
nose.
example of the Tuskegee Airmen and stuff like that. It is kind of like you're forcing people to do more research when it could be done a lot easier. Just because there's these
I'm
direct-
just saying, you're
Then we
messing
had the
up
work
sixth
done.
graders' book reports, man.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
you're totally hosing them on material fodder. That's important history. I think it's an important history. I don't know.
I think my daughter had an assignment one time and she brought it home. She was like, "Hey, I'm supposed to refer to people. I'm supposed to describe somebody to you without using race." And I was like, "Oh, that's a bitch. That's tough, man." How about that fat dude over there? Oh, I can't say that either. He's like, "God damn it! What characteristic can I use then?"
That good-looking fella.
I think there's a line where we're pushing people because of race too much, and then we're erasing race too much. So there's got to be some in between there. But you know, it does seem like we're getting to a point where we're like, hey, this is the first person who's ever done this, and you're just like, okay, great. Are we there yet? When are we there? When can we stop marking the milestones?
Hey, that's
and
interesting
just go.
because the moment
let's
we
just
stop,
go on.
That's interesting, yeah. Because the moment we stop marking the milestone is the moment there'll be no prejudiceness. I think.
Yeah,
because there'll be no.
That's what. Right, it'll just be like, oh, good for her or him.
Well,
or
here's
them,
the fact
or
too. You're going to have an old white guy.
Interesting.
You're going to have a guy. How do I get that finger straight? A guy of color, women, black men, Asian. They're not going to change. They're always going to be there. So it's not like we're getting rid of the races just because we don't say they belong to that race. That's dumb.
Yeah, it's like hamstringing yourself saying, "Hey, describe Marty, but don't tell me what color hair he has."
Right. Yeah, don't call him a white guy.
Well, what color of hair does he have? Does he have white or
don't
black?
pretend he's a salt and pepper god.
But that's not a color. Jake.
You know, it's funny.
Everybody knows exactly what I'm saying.
And I feel here in America, I'm sure it's done in other countries, but when I went TDY to England, I wasn't, that dude's, he must be Latino, he must be Mexican or whatever. They would hear my voice and it's like, oh, that's a Yankee or that's an American.
Right. Yeah.
But it took me going to a different country to be called by my nationality, not race, my nationality. I am American. Right. And that's what it took for me to actually say, oh shit, this is the first time I'm identified as an American. And I have to go to England for that.
That is an excellent point.
Well, sure.
They don't say, hey, that Armenian guy.
Yeah.
Like in Europe.
When you hear, when we hear accents,
that Turkish
they could be from, they're British.
Yeah, with their nationalities, right.
Yeah, you go based off their nationalities. Like, it doesn't matter what color they are. I was like, oh, that dude's speaking
on the reverse side of that, if we hear a black guy with the English accent, we don't go, oh, he must be British African. We're like, oh, he's just British.
He's a British.
Brit. Yeah. So
I
I think we're one of the
that's
only
because
countries
we default to the. No, it's because we default to the quickest, easiest way to identify somebody.
Yeah.
So if you work your way down, you're like, oh, he's an Aussie. You're like, oh, there's not a lot of Aussies. Well, okay, he's an Aboriginal Aussie. You're like, oh, I got. If you have like a herd of Aussies, and you're like, oh,
he's an
Abo. We
Abo.
always go top down. Which Jake? Oh, the white State Farm Jake or the black one? That's what you do. You default to like that.
But maybe we're trying to get to Martin Luther King's dream, right?
Maybe.
Where we're colorless society.
Maybe it's okay to say black as long as you're not being a dick about it or having right. Maybe that's the better part.
That's what I'm saying. That's the piece of the dream. We're never going to get there. The fact that there are black people, there are Filipinos, there are Mexicans, there are women, there are.
Just don't be a dick about it.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I agree.
I like that.
And then I can just judge you on your merit.
Yeah.
Right?
You're a dick. Oh, because you're a dick.
No, because
or
you're just
baldness.
You're a piece of shit.
Bald.
All right. Speaking of black and white, let's get to Miss America.
Wow.
I mean, Miss
Did we
USA.
finish that
Right.
article, by the way? Did we put that Arlington to rest?
Oh, we killed that article.
Well, there wasn't much more other than them saying they're scrubbing the website.
We muddled the
So-
shit out of it.
So let me ask you this one last question, and I'll get off it. At
All
the
right.
end of this 4 years, do they put
Dead
all the
people
stuff
don't
back
care.
in?
We got that, Eric. We got
Did
it.
they put it back into their webpage that says prominent black people, section 106?
At this rate, yes. That's the annoying part. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna
Every
go back to that.
before the presidents would just void whatever the last president kind of signed or did.
Yeah. Right.
Now it's like, don't only void that shit, you void whole departments and you start from scratch and then build them back up.
Under my
And that
under
was
my
Joey
policy.
B did that crap, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa. Let's dial this whole thing. We're supposed to be saving money, not redoing everything.
Right. Right.
We redid the names of the bases.
Well, a couple of them so far, but we're gonna.
Are we
redo
saving
them
money
all.
or are we not? How much
No,
money
probably
are those
not.
renamed?
Yeah,
gonna
probably
cost?
Probably
Shoot.
not.
Hey, how many papers got changed from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and printed unnecessary?
Exactly.
Probably not many.
Are we?
I don't know
nobody
when I
prints shit
read
anymore.
Gulf of Mexico.
No, I'm just saying though. What federal agencies probably have to do is like, oh shit,
No.
Daddy's gonna get mad if I don't change this.
or reflect the
what?
map on the wall that says Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of
I'll
They
Mexico.
just
spend-
sharpied over that shit. You know
I'll
that.
spend that money rather than
Right at
some of
it.
this- some of the stuff we're supposedly spending money on.
Yeah, I
right?
agree. I
So,
agree.
You know, I think we can throw a couple $100 million over here to do this right. So
Well, that's where it all starts.
Hey,
can't.
Could be. Well, when the pendulum swings the other way, we'll have the anti-Doge come in and we're like, we're bringing waste back, baby. And then we're like, yeah.
You get 100 million, and you get 100 million, and you get a.
Let's pass it around.
GS14s for everyone. Come on in, baby.
Hey, that government retirement is looking awesome.
All right. Well, let's talk about some more females. Oh, where'd Anna go? She was
You got
waving
rid of the
shit.
only female.
She had to
Did
pick
she
her
leave?
nose too.
I guess so.
Hey, so much for you being inclusive, Marty.
Damn, and I was just about to talk about a female thing.
Way to go.
Well, not a female thing, but was she waving to say that she was leaving?
I didn't see her wave.
Yeah, she went like this, and then all of a sudden she bailed.
No,
I wonder if
might
she
have
had a
lost her power.
Maybe she had a power thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, if you remember last year, we were talking about the first military person to win Miss America, Madison Marsh. Now the military wins Miss USA.
How about that?
Yeah.
We're getting good at
So-
something. Woohoo.
From
Extracurriculars.
Stripes.com, Miss USA Army First Lieutenant Alma Cooper inspires over 4,000 California students. So this is pretty cool. U.S. Army First Lieutenant Alma Cooper, an Army intelligence officer and the reigning Miss USA, spoke to more than 4,000 students about opportunities in the Army and different pathways to pursue degrees in higher education at high schools in Orange, Riverside, and San Diego counties in California with the Riverside Recruiting Company. That almost sounds like a dance show or
Yeah,
something like
a
that.
recital.
The Riverside Recruiting Company. She is currently assigned to the U.S. Army Recruiting Command in the San Francisco Bay Area. A part of that service is being able to share with students all across the country my own personal She said, a part of that service is being able to share with students all across the country my own personal story. I want to hopefully inspire them and give them the encouragement to go on and chase their dreams and serve their country. All right? You want to see First Lieutenant Alma Cooper?
Heck
There she
yeah.
is right there, right? Talking to all that. She's an intel officer. She's assigned to the recruiting command, obviously doing out her
Pretty smart, too. She
Miss
went,
USA thing, right?
Yeah, she's
How
a
can I
West Point
search for
grad,
her?
which is
Black
Stanford.
woman, Asian woman.
How
Black
about
and
her
Mexican.
name, Eric? How about just her name?
Okay.
That would work too, right?
Alma.
Jesus, guy, you just want to keep poking the bull, don't you?
But if you really want
Uh,
to know, her dad was a retired major.
Oh,
in the
okay.
Army.
You know a little
Back
bit about
in the mom was a migrant worker from Mexico. There you go.
it? Oh, all right. Very good. Jorge Alonso, 18, is a future soldier preparing to ship out to the Army's initial military training. He is one of the many students at Hillcrest High School that felt inspired by Cooper's visit. There was one thing she said, and it was, if you can see me, you can be me. That's pretty good. That's a good little phrase there. If you can see me, you can be me. That really stood out to me, said Alonso, who will be an information tech specialist in the Army. Cooper became the first active duty Army officer to be crowned Miss USA last year and is the second military woman to claim that title after Army Reserve officer Deshauna Barber in 2016. In January 2024, Air Force Second Lieutenant Madison Marsh, who Eric took through dog training, if you'll remember that, won the Miss America pageant to become the first active duty officer to win that crown. Don't you remember when we were role playing when she went out with the dog stuff?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
That was damn funny. You want to see her crowned as Miss USA?
Yeah, Jake sent that picture. She looks a lot better there than she does in the
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a little bio on her. Cooper graduated with honors at the United States Military Academy West Point with honors from West Point.
Nice.
And is in the process of earning a master's degree with a scholarship at Stanford. She said the opportunity to engage with students in a unique and impactful experience experience for her. Being Miss USA is a deep honor and privilege, but I only think about being Miss USA for 365 days, Cooper said. I get to say that I am serving my country for the rest of my life. Oh, that's a good little interview question. That's a good one. Hopefully, by sharing my journey to service, people can realize that there is a way for them to serve in their own way. So, I'm sure you guys were wondering what's the difference between Miss USA and Miss America. I'm sure that thought just popped into your head.
Hey,
right?
Marty, what's the difference between those two?
I'm glad you guys asked me that. Well, for what I found out, Miss America focuses more on talent and community service, while Miss USA focuses more on physical appearance and modeling skills.
No.
It's a really insulting way to describe the two.
Man,
so it's
that's
like
a pro Miss America article. Huh?
So Miss America's
those
more like
bimbos over there only concentrate on looks and giggling.
So Miss America's more like, hey, you're the type of person I want to marry because you're nice.
That could be. Yeah, right. And Miss USA is like pre-OnlyFans. No.
Yeah, exactly. What?
Wow.
I get a night, man.
Thank you for joining us.
On that note,
but here it goes on more, Jake. Miss America has a scholarship program, while Miss USA does not. Miss America contestants must be single, while Miss USA contestants can be married or divorced.
Very good. How about that?
That's all I found out from the AI. So that's what they told me.
Dude. So there's soiled goods because they're married or
divorced.
It almost
they're
sounds like
uneducated,
second-class citizens.
Attractive homebags. Like, holy cow, man!
That's brutal. That's brutal.
I probably should have found one that was more weighted the other way and see what they thought. Right?
You know, if you're going based on education, I guess you could have done that. The questions like, remember this Miss USA or this Miss America? And look at the answer.
Iraq. Remember the Iraq?
Yeah.
The Iraq. That was a Miss America girl.
Hoe bag. Uneducated.
Oh, bag.
So anyway, good on you, Lieutenant
Alma Cooper.
Nice.
So, very cool. Very cool.
Do your thing.
Eric, take us home with some history before we all lose power here.
Oh, I got a good one.
Yeah.
This is good. So, 1942, Pearl Harbor's just been hit, right? And who were the culprits?
Well, 1941.
I know, 1941. Who are the culprits? Japanese, right?
Right.
So what happens in the U.S.? We start to
Supposedly.
get paranoid, right? Everybody
Sure.
with a Japanese background, German
yeah.
background,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Italian background,
Not so much.
right?
Internment
So on
camps.
18 March, the War Relocation Authority is created.
Oh no.
Yeah, I certainly understood the need. I didn't understand why we couldn't have done a better job of vetting Japanese
Yeah.
U.S. citizens, right?
Yeah.
To include all of them, I guess. But so the War Relocation Authority was created. It takes all people of Japanese descent into custody, surround them with troops, prevent them from buying land or returning them to their former homes at the close of the war. It did not even depend on your status, whether you were poor, you were rich, you were a person of status. It didn't matter. Anger toward and fear of Japanese Americans began in Hawaii shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Everyone of Japanese ancestry, old and young, prosperous and poor, were suspected of espionage. The suspicion quickly broke out on the mainland. As early as February 19, 1942, Roosevelt then orders that German, Italian, and Japanese nationals, as well as Japanese American citizens, be barred from certain areas deemed sensitive militarily. California, which had a significant number of Japanese American residents, saw a particularly form of anti-Japanese sentiment.
Yeah, I bet.
With the state's Attorney General Earl Warren, who would go on to be the Chief Justice of the United States, claiming that a lack of evidence of sabotage among the Japanese American population proved nothing, as they were merely biding their time before they attacked.
Golly. Yeah, that'd be tough.
Right?
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy. Right. And we could go on. I'll let you guys research it more. But that was when the act was implemented. The War Relocation Authority, 18 March 1942. And it was ridiculous, man. Now, we didn't put them in work camps and treat them poorly, but you're still being biased. The guards are still assuming you're, that was terrible. Bad time for us.
There's one of those camps out here in Colorado.
Is there?
Yeah,
okay.
Historic site. Yeah.
They interned it.
Where is that?
It's what is it? Granada or Granada?
Really? Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. It's like southeast corner.
Oh, yeah, I never read Remembering Manzanar. I know it's one of the books that we had to read in California, but it was about the Japanese internment camps. So if you've never read that book, it's a pretty good book.
Take a look at that.
It'll take you through the history and what they went through. So it's like first person what she went through on the whole thing.
Oh man.
So it's crazy.
My mom.
For you to prove your point, I'll give you one chance, Marty. Here, I'm sorry. Yeah. For you to prove your citizenship, they would allow them to enlist in the army to fight Japanese.
Oh,
most of them went to the German side.
Yeah,
a lot of, but yeah, that was, you proved your citizenship that way. Crazy.
My mom, who grew up in Hawaii, and she was like 10 or 12 when Pearl Harbor happened. So they would go down to Pearl Harbor and crab every Sunday. But they had many Japanese neighbors on their neighborhood that they never saw again. They came and took them away, and it was just like, yeah, we're gone.
They're gone.
And so that wasn't even a state, and they were doing that. But also understand that that's right there, right? Harbor's half hour away. So
I certainly understood the need for it. I just thought we could have done a better job of vetting, certainly U.S. citizens who born there, been there, who are established, working, and I know about sleeper agents and shit like that. But
they would come back after that and go back to their shop, and it would be owned by somebody totally different because they abandoned it.
Right.
That's just crazy.
But I want to say, and I may be way over my skis here, but it does seem like we made some would argue too much of an effort to make sure that after 9/11, that it's not like, hey, don't go after your neighbors. That's not, we don't want to return to that time of internment camps and prejudice just because of what happened. So it seemed like we maybe we did better. I don't know if local incidents would probably prove that wrong, but it seemed like we made a much bigger effort to try to not go down that road this time.
I think so, honestly. But
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know.
Well, and another
again,
perfect example is
I didn't have my beard back then.
The brown professor that they won't let re-enter the country because she was at that guy's funeral in Lebanon. So she was a professor at Brown University.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was just tan.
Brown University has, all these protests supporting her to get her back in. And then I listened to Rubio, and Rubio said, why would we allow you to come in had you been honest with us that you supported a man and his needs and things he does supporting Hezbollah? We wouldn't let you in the first place. Yeah. So why would I let you re-enter now when you feel that way? I'm not going to let you do that. That goes against what we stand for. So, I mean, that was an interesting man. Same thing with the whole Colombia trying to shut down those protests in support of Hamas.
Right.
Like,
is she a U.S. citizen?
She is. Not initially. She became one. And then on her phone, they investigated her and saw all this support on these different networks for this guy who was killed in Lebanon. And he was one of their leaders. And she was calling him a spiritual leader. We call him a fucking terrorist who's dead. And she goes all the way back to Lebanon to participate and support his funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a slippery slope, man. You're a U.S. citizen. You leave the States, and then the U.S. government doesn't agree with your
But didn't you hear what I
choices.
said? Rubio.
Yeah, no, I heard you, but that's right now.
But I feel like that.
Give
that's
it
what
10 years,
scare.
and Hezbollah might be a good guy according to the U.S. government. Right?
Don't
play it off, Eric. You know what happened in Afghanistan. We fueled the Mujahideen like forever, and then all of a sudden,
stingers.
like
now you're the bad guys.
Once we needed them, we're good. We'll give them tons of money and training. Once we don't, so
Osama was our guy for 10 years.
So
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
there. But yeah,
just because you disagree with the current government's direction, or who they deem to be a bad guy, they don't let you back in your country.
And
well, I have to take the step the other side. I agree with this. If you feel that way, take your ass and stay out. Don't come here and tell us
but
what
that's
this
the whole
guy's
point
doing.
of freedom.
No, there's different types of freedom, in my opinion, and certainly coming down to take down our freedom is not one of them. Because according to her belief, I shouldn't be alive. I am what do they call us? A non-believer.
Infidel. Infidel.
And you shouldn't be on this planet.
Okay.
You shouldn't be on this planet. So
it's tough when you get down to the little singular cases like that. I mean, I understand the philosophy as a whole, but you can always poke holes into it with exceptions, right? And it's, not one mass policy is not going to be right. But if you're in charge and say back then you had all these random terrorist activities by Japanese in 1942, then they would have looked and said, they just attacked us. Why didn't you do something?
Yeah. But I think
and they had all those Nazi units here, the Nazi
infiltration.
supporters.
Right.
But I think it starts with like one person or identifying that one person, and then you look into that person's background. And like, okay, what does that person believe? Then you start generalizing it, and that's when it gets dangerous.
Well,
I'm saying and depending what like those administrations will say, like, and I'm not trying like, even with current events, right? Like with the Venezuelans or this and that, they generalize that whole group. Here in Colorado, when they generalized the Venezuelans about shooting up apartments, and there was a scare of everybody saying, "Oh, Venezuelans are all bad."
Yeah,
they're not all bad. So we really have to be careful on how we identify.
We'll group them all together.
So we don't.
Venezuelans in a gang generally aren't productive.
No, I get that, Marty. But I'm saying, but now
everybody's in a gang in Venezuela.
I hear
that's the whole thing. And for a while, but I'm saying like you identify that, right? Like it's based off first glance, and we have to be very careful of not doing that. I think as a nation we're better than that.
Well, we try to be, but then you get groups like La Raza who are actively trying to get that land back, right? From within.
Aslan. Yeah, they talk about Aslan. They talk about Aslan.
Right. So what do you do? What do you do?
But you generalize it that.
Right.
But when you generalize
it's on
it like
their
that,
documents, so it doesn't need to be generalized. But
no,
but you're right.
The
You're
group
right.
of people get generalized with that. Like what you see is what you're going to identify. People that look the same.
Marty, I don't want Jake's type on the show anymore. He
knew it.
disagrees
Bald
with me.
white guys.
He's got to go. He's
You
got
hate
to
us.
go.
But it's the same. This last of it. It's the same as
Just
our
because I don't have
abhorrence
all grays, you son of a bitch.
for American Nazi Party, right?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily stand for that. We don't want that because they're going to get that shit, and they're going to give us, or these two guys, they're going to give them bad names, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody
That's a
wants
good point.
skinheads around.
That's a good
Nobody
point.
wants anybody who's going to cause trouble, even if you're the same race. Nobody wants them around. So I think that sentiment is pretty prevalent of anybody, no matter what race or no matter what group it is. If you're going to cause shit, I don't want you around.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, you're right on the generalization. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Good discussion.
It's not a happy note that we go out on, but
good night, man.
It is a note to go out on, I suppose.
That was good history, though, Eric. I like that, honestly.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's an aspect that didn't quite realize. It was March 18th is when they started it. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
All right.
It was signed into an executive order before that. I think it was back in February 19th. That Franklin brings it into power. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we had some interesting topics tonight. I think all our ire is up at each other. So let's call that end up and take a breather, and we'll come back, after we've cooled down and we can get back along as a rainbow coalition.
Rage. Marty, I posted that location,
the site,
that Google Maps.
In the chat.
Location.
Good. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
So on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure that next week that you are not late for changeover.
Wait for change.
Wait for changeover.
Thanks, gentlemen. Anna, we lost power. We lost you, and we miss you. Everyone out there listening and watching, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week.
Eric, are you doing 2-a-days on the glutes in preparation for your next Florida trip?
You know it, baby. I was there this morning.
I
Hammering it.
appreciate all your work.
Are we still recording? We're still recording, huh?
He's got to impress the masseuse.
Oh, yeah, baby. When I get the sheet whooped off, hard. Look at that hard thing.
There's not a single jiggle. Ding. Not even a shiver.
It's a hard.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week.